I wanted you.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
It is Saturday, March 27th
Yes.
at 4:52 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of chow mein.
Yes. As did I, but I didn't finish all mine.
We should say I was hanging out at home. We were talking on the phone about the possibility of me either coming over today or early tomorrow morning. You spent some time thinking about it because you need help with the package, but it hasn't gotten here yet.
No.
And I told you, listen, it may come on Monday or possibly even Tuesday. And do you want me up in your area for that long? Mm-hmm. You decided that you did. So you called me, packed my shit, and I came on over here. But we were both pretty hungry.
Yes.
Yes. So we ordered some Panda Express. They were out of brown rice, which we both wanted.
Yeah.
I put in your number just because I figured that would make it easier for you to buzz them up once they got here.
Yeah, and yeah, so I have to say, I will admit it that I goofed yet again.
Yes.
And
here's what happened. Initially,
I think I should say that.
Go ahead.
Excuse me. So, I get this text from the driver who's supposed to deliver my order, and they did not ask me on the phone, because I thought the driver was here initially. They didn't ask me on the phone about the replacement, because they ran out of brown rice. So I'm waiting and waiting and waiting, and...
We should say real quick that we got a call like 2 minutes before the text, and I would have done this in the same situation.
Yeah.
Assume that it was them wanting to be buzzed in.
Yeah, and I did. So, anyway, and then needless to say, they weren't here yet. So, I'm waiting, I'm trying to find the number, I'm trying to call them back. It was very frustrating because I didn't answer the phone. Finally, I get this call, and this guy was on the phone and explained to me that the driver wanted to know what I wanted to replace the brown rice with, and immediately I thought about chow mein, and then you brought up the fact that you already ordered chow mein, which I should have known that. I don't think I was paying attention.
Didn't even ask me. And I did say it to you because you said, "Oh yeah, you should get that." I would have gotten it, but I have it so often that I'm not having it today.
Yeah, well, that was my mistake.
Yes. It got a little bit heated.
And I thought maybe that, I don't know, maybe I thought that you were going to change your mind and have something else, but I don't know. Sometimes you do. But that's okay. So needless to say, we did get our order and everything was really good. I did not finish mine. You had a lot of chow mein, and you finished yours, right? I
did. And for full disclosure, I did also order meat with this meal. This is the first time I've had. No, but let me say my piece, babes. A dead animal, to the best of my knowledge, since the last time we had Carl Jr.
That is correct. Because we both, because I remember when you said that I should try the chicken bacon Swiss, and of course I wanted to because I like all those things.
A better way of saying that would be it's the first time I've had meat in like 5.5 weeks. So just because I'm not a vegetarian anymore, it doesn't mean I'm like completely going off the rails. Although you may not have noticed that tonight with how quickly I was inhaling the food.
Oh, he inhaled it.
Yeah.
And I'm not even done with mine, and I still have quite a bit in my, well, I ate quite a bit, but I still have quite a bit left over.
They put in 2 sides. So I had some chicken. I don't know what kind
honey
sesame cheese chicken. And then in one of the sides, it was a teriyaki.
Yes.
And then it was this like other chicken, this like sweet chicken.
Orange chicken.
Orange chicken, yeah. So I had all of that.
You had orange chicken.
Yes. With broccoli and, of course, chow mein, as we've established. But no rice, so I'm cutting back. Because I didn't have any rice, so less carbs.
That's okay.
Yeah. I'm eating very well these days, babes.
I don't know. Well, anyway, I had the Beijing beef, which was really good. That's like, I think that may have been the 3rd time I ordered that. And the honey sesame chicken and orange chicken. Although I thought about getting teriyaki chicken, but for some reason I didn't. Very good. And I also thought about getting crab rangoon, which you never had that before, right?
I'm not a seafood person. I never have.
I mean, not crab rangoon, but cream cheese rangoon. There was no crab in it, but I like crab. They're like these. They kind of remind me of little hats, and they're stuffed with. They're these crunchy things. They kind of remind me of these little hats, and they're stuffed with cream cheese, and they're really good.
Nice.
They kind of they're like wontons, pretty much.
That sounds interesting. I never really got into the whole wonton thing, but my sister and mom really like them.
I love wontons.
Yeah. So it was good food. It did get a little heated. I was a little bit upset after you got off the phone. But once you said I was sorry, it helped. You were sorry. It helped me calm down.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't mean to do that, but I was just so anxious to get food that I wasn't even thinking about, oh yeah, that's right, you ordered chow mein.
Well, I still love my Jaylo.
Okay.
Yes, babe.
I'm sure there's going to be something that you do that will get me a little upset for.
I mean, I am correct about politics, and I know that you tend to lash out at people with different political opinions.
No, I don't. Just you.
Why me?
Because you're not here. Because you don't stop me from doing it.
Stop. Okay.
Maybe I should explain this. Because
I'm correct about politics.
Hold on, I'm not
ahead.
talking about politics. Let me just explain myself here before you go off the rails again, or go on a tangent. I feel that, let's just say, I feel that I can express myself more around you because I'm not being filtered. If that makes any sense.
It's a good thing. I think I hear what you're saying. Because we are in a relationship and you trust me enough that I'm going to accept you for who you are, good, bad, or ugly, you can be the real Jaylo.
Exactly.
Instead of this fake image that the rest of the world gets to see.
And my idea of lashing out at you is tickle torturing you. So I'm not actually lashing out at you, but I am I am expressing my frustration and all that, but it's not to hurt you, bub.
I have this image 5 years in the future. I go to a battered spouse's meeting and I'm just like, hi, I'm Rick. And I used to be a victim of tickle torture. My now ex-wife, Jaylo, was a hardcore Trump supporter and I'm reasonable, so she used to tickle torture me. But we'll have to see if that happens.
That's so far down the road, but okay. No, I the one thing I don't want to do is to send you to a battered men support group. I'm sure that they are out there.
Yeah, there's gotta be.
It's very sad that there are men that actually do go through it.
Yeah, I hear you.
Well, what about the men that are being, what about the men that have, like, possessive wives or girlfriends? I mean, that's just as bad.
It is just as bad. Having said that, it's definitely more the case where the man is more possessive. At least that's my perception of it.
I mean, you hear more of it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, that men, that we couldn't have a dialogue about women possessing men, because I think it's a horrible, horrible thing.
It is.
And there are some women that actually hit men too, so.
I remember in the early 90s, I was watching Entertainment Tonight, and they were doing some promo for a TV movie where it was like the guy was getting abused by his wife. And I was 10 at the time.
Is that the one by, with Anne Margaret?
I don't know if this was a TV movie.
Wow.
But when I watched it, the previews for it, I just started laughing at the idea that a woman would abuse a man. And I was 10. Keep that in mind.
You're very immature, Wick.
I wasn't as mature as I am today.
No. Well, I did hear, I don't remember if I told you about Lionel Richie, but I heard a story about, I think it might have been on 2020, and how, you know how Lionel Richie has been known to make love songs, to write love songs and all that. Well, it turns out that his ex-wife, now his ex-wife, used to beat him. Used
that's
to really.
beautiful.
What?
That's beautiful.
Bugs.
No, go ahead.
You want me to make it beautiful for you?
Oh.
No,
keep going, babe.
I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. You know I'm not like that.
Yes.
No, but I heard that she was really, like, physically hurting him. And you wouldn't think that. but it's not really talked about a lot, but women do that. Some women are like super controlling, super possessive, and they can also batter their own husbands.
It does happen, babes.
But I wonder how the man reacts, like, oh, well, if I am a nicer husband or a nicer boyfriend, then, and I do what she wants me to do, then I won't get hit today. Because a lot of women think that. If only I didn't do this, or if only I took out the garbage when I was supposed to, or whatever it is, right? They think, well, he won't hit me today because I did this. That's how I perceive it.
I just thought of a really bad joke, but I'm not going to say it.
Tell me privately.
Do we want to pretend that we're in private right now?
No.
Okay.
We are not.
Okay. Very good there, Jaylo. Very good there.
We are not going to pretend it because it's not true.
No, babes. Moving on, Jaylo.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because we don't want to go there. Okay.
No.
It was good, though. I enjoyed the food.
Yes.
Yes.
It was so good we couldn't even talk while we were eating.
Well, I don't know what got into me, babes. I've noticed this, too. Like, every time I've eaten meat since going back to it, I just, like, wolf it down.
Well, I remember you haven't had it, at least not openly for, like, 10, 11 years, right?
Correct.
So, because you know what it tastes like, I can understand why you would wolf it down.
And even now, it's not like I'm eating it every day. Like I said earlier, It's been like 5 or 6 weeks.
I mean, yeah, if I have something good, for sure, I would be inclined to wolf it down. But I don't eat like a man either. And it seems like a lot of men that I've eaten with, they just completely inhale their food. Would you agree?
Yeah.
A lot of men do that.
I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but that hasn't stopped me before. Mm-hmm. So my sister got married, right? This was years ago.
Yes, it was.
And to the best of my knowledge, her and her husband have a happy marriage. Mm-hmm. But, excuse me, I'm burping.
Yeah.
That's not what I was going to tell you.
Yeah.
So my sister's wedding ceremony was like this really cool thing. It took place over the course of a few days. So we're out there. And I remember at one point, she's complaining about my now brother-in-law saying, oh, whenever I make him food, he just inhales it in like a couple bites. And she says that, if I'm putting in the time to make him the food, I want him to sit down and eat it with me. Mm-hmm. And I didn't say anything because it was my sister's event, right? Mm-hmm. But I remember thinking to myself, but that's a sign that he really likes your food. That he's inhaling.
Would agree. I mean, I don't get upset when you finish your eating before me. I just like to savor it.
I think her point was, though, that he sits down and he just like eats like I did today.
Yeah.
Whereas just like all focused on eating and not saying anything to you until I was done.
Well, it's okay. I was too focused on my food to say anything too because it was that good. Mm-hmm. And when I'm focused on food, I just can't talk. I'm just like, I got to eat this. Because I notice that if I do talk while I'm eating lunch or dinner or breakfast or whatever, then I never eat anything. I never finish it.
I have a very, very close friend, my buddy from India. Mm-hmm. You know the one.
Yes, I know the one.
Yeah,
yes.
From California.
Yes.
And we used to be roommates when we first met.
Yeah.
And I remember it would drive him crazy whenever we would go to a place that I would just inhale food.
Yeah.
And it would drive me crazy that it would take him so long to finish something.
Like how long? Would it take him? I mean, I know that sometimes it take a little bit long, but I don't take that long, right?
He's gotten better, but it used to take him a while to finish food.
He just likes it. Maybe some men like to... I've never met a man that does not inhale their food.
That makes me feel a lot better.
I have not met... I mean... I live with roommates. I won't say their names, but the guy. So my two of my roommates were a married couple, and seriously, there were times where I'd eat dinner with them, and he would just finish so quickly, and the two women, me and his wife, were sitting there like, he's done already, and then then she replied by saying, well, he works in the medical field and he has to get out the door really early. So he has to, he's on the go all the time. So that makes sense. But I've never met a man in my life that does not inhale their food and finishes, I never met anyone that doesn't inhale their food because they usually inhale and then they finish. And then I'm like, oh, I'm not done yet.
I try to become better about this, but I'm definitely guilty of just sitting down and finishing a meal as quick as possible.
But it's just so good. I mean, I understand I do understand why guys would do that though. Especially if it involves meat.
Oh.
Because if you like the meat, if you really like the meat, you're not gonna sit there and wait. You're just gonna eat it.
I think I do it more than most because I remember being a little kid, and we're talking about age like 8 or 9, and my dad would playfully scold me because of how fast I would eat.
Yeah. Was he worried that you're gonna get sick?
I think so.
Yeah.
And he used to say, you don't have to eat that fast. And I remember one of his friends was with us once, and he used the example of lifesavers. They call it savor because they want you to enjoy the flavor of it.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, so I've heard these weird things on talk shows about how to control your calories and everything, and how people say you have to chew like 15 times or whatever it is, which I think is really excessive, honestly. Mm-hmm. I know that you have to chew certain foods because they're harder. They're thicker, right? Like if you're eating a piece of steak, you don't want to eat it too fast because you might choke. So you have to make sure that you chew it just enough for you to swallow it so it can get digested into your system.
Yeah.
So I get that, but some people are like obsessive over chewing, like, oh, I gotta chew like 10, 15, 20 times. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. I just chew until they're like in little pieces so I can swallow it.
Was it Alicia Silverstone? Mm-hmm. She had a baby.
Yeah.
And I believe that she would like chew the food and spit it into her kid's mouth.
Oh,
Am I remembering that right?
There was an animal that does that too for their young. I can't remember. Really? That's gross.
I hope I'm remembering that correctly.
That sounds like some weird attachment parenting strategy or something.
I think she's one of those.
That's really gross.
Really into being a mom. Like you can be a good mom. I'm not saying that you should have no connection to the kid, but then there's being like obsessive about it.
I gotta tell you this. It's kind of a funny but disturbing story.
Go ahead.
That I heard on Dr. Phil. There was this lady who treats her dog like a human boy, like a human son, right?
Yeah.
So what she would do is that she would chew his food or chew food for him that she got and would spit it out and then he would take it. I'm like, that's really gross. I'm sorry. That's disgusting. See, cows do that with their own cud. They chew it, they spit it out into their udder, they chew it again, they regurgitate it. It's gross. It's really gross.
I would agree. And you just ate cow tonight.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, but mostly chicken.
But some cow.
Yeah.
Hindus love you.
That's okay. I'm not, Hindus love me.
Yes.
All I have to say is, moo.
Oh my goodness. I was listening to Lex Friedman's podcast. Mm-hmm. It's actually this morning. And, well, partially yesterday, and I finished it off this morning. He was interviewing Sagar Enjeti, who I'm super fascinated with, because he's like this conservative dude.
Sagar Enjeti. Oh, the one from India, right?
Well, I think his parents might be from India.
Okay.
But he was born and raised here.
Okay.
And I'm fascinated with that guy. I think he's one of those guys who doesn't know that he's a liberal. But that's a whole other...
He doesn't know that he's a liberal?
Yeah, like he says he's conservative. He's like, well, I'm pro-Trump, but I hated this. I hated this, and I like that AOC does this, and this.
Wow. So he's it sounds like he's kind of in the middle then.
Yeah, I think he's a really interesting dude. But anyways, he said that his family was Hindu, which kind of surprised me, and I don't know why.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't really know a lot of Hindus. I know a lot of Hindons. Sorry. Dumb dad joke there, babe.
Oh, jeez. It's okay. I've heard worse puns than that.
Thank you.
I've heard way worse puns than that. I mean, puns that it's like, come on, you gotta change your material because this is really bad. This is really bad. Oh. My science teacher, my high school science teacher, I mean, I love this guy. He was great. But he was like the king of puns. I mean, really.
Did I ever tell you, babes?
No.
I might have said this story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's get honest here.
Okay.
There was this girl in high school that I was super attracted to. This was the girl, babes, that I lied to about reading Jack Kerouac, and she immediately called me out on it.
Oh, is that the one that you got her number and she forgot you?
Correct.
Okay.
So I was trying to say the crowd and people I hung out with at the school.
Yeah.
And I said the name of one of my friends, and she's like, he's the one with all the really bad puns, right?
And then all you can do to respond to his puns is bum.
Right, exactly.
It's like, ugh. Yeah, I know people that are just, they love their puns, and it's like their humor is dry. And I understand I understand why. I mean, they're into puns and dad jokes, but some of them are just terrible.
They are.
It's like, stop it.
Yes. Anyways, getting back to my point, I really don't know much about the Hindu community, which is odd because I've dated women from India. I've had roommates from India. I've had other friends from that part of the world. But yet my knowledge about that religion is very small.
Mm.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with you that you don't know about Hindu culture or the Hindu religion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then Hindu is not the only religion in India either.
No, like my best friend, my second best friend is from India, the guy we were just talking about.
But he's not Hindu.
That's what I was going to say. He's Catholic.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. He's not Hindu. So I would suggest that if you really want to learn, if you really want to know what that's about, maybe you should ask him. Because
yeah, he definitely knows people in that community.
Yeah, because I mean, ask him to tell you about, explain the tenets, explain what they think about, what they believe about heaven, or if there's an afterlife, or how they perceive God to be, or I mean, just because if you really want to understand it, because
Yeah, I was just thinking about this the other day, babes, before I heard the Sagar thing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember in the late 90s, like 97 or 98, there was this case of this guy. Mm-hmm. Okay, he's a Hindu man living in America. Mm-hmm. He goes to, I want to say, Taco Bell and orders a veggie burrito.
Yes.
But they gave him one with cow meat in it. Mm-hmm. He bit into it and sued them for like $50 million, saying that now he's going to go to hell.
Wow.
And I remember thinking to myself,
that's a little too much.
If you think that this cow is a god and that they're serving pieces of God here, why would you even go into that restaurant?
Yeah.
I understand that you're getting the veggie option, bro, but they're still killing your deity.
I would say that it was the guy's fault for stopping in the Taco Bell because he knew what he was going to get, whether or not he got a veggie burrito or not.
I believe, if I remember right, your assessment is basically what the judge said.
I believe it. Well, it's kind of like I think there was a couple of cases where McDonald's was sued over. This one person got sued because they got hot coffee on them.
Oh, yeah.
But it was something really stupid.
It was this lady. It was like the early 90s. Mm-hmm. Babe, get this. She orders hot coffee.
Yeah.
Goes to her car, sits down, and the coffee spills on her.
That's not McDonald's fault.
And she won $10 million, I believe.
No, I think she should have lost it because it's not their fault.
Now, if I recall right, there was more to the case that the media didn't report on.
Yeah.
But I inhale media like I inhale Panda Express, so I don't remember all the details.
Well, and then there was another case that was really stupid. I think it were these two women that were they weren't tiny, okay, and they sued McDonald's because of what they were serving there. Yeah, see,
this is where I'm a bit more conservative.
You know what? I'm like, okay, if you didn't want to get fat, don't go to a fattening place.
Exactly.
It's like when are people going to take responsibility? And I personally think it's the woman's responsibility to not McDonald's that the coffee was spilled on her. She probably put it somewhere where it would spill.
It was. She was in her car. She wasn't even in the actual restaurant.
See, I think she should have lost it.
Yeah.
I honestly think. I mean, it's like stupid things like that. Like, when will people be hold themselves accountable for their own mistakes?
I make a lot of mistakes, babes.
I wasn't talking about you, though.
No, but I'm saying...
And I do, too.
And one of the things is you just got to accept it and realize, okay, I shouldn't have done that. Laugh it off if you can, if it's not too serious, and move on.
Right, exactly. And, I mean, some people sue companies over the stupidest things. Or restaurants. I mean, I just don't get it.
And the thing is, too, it makes it bad for everybody else who has a legitimate complaint. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's like, let's say I'm a worker at McDonald's, right?
Yes.
And I burn myself because of unsafe conditions.
Yeah.
But there's been so many frivolous lawsuits around McDonald's that people kind of just laugh everything off.
Yeah.
I might feel more trepidatious about suing them.
Yeah.
Or the judge might feel some kind of way about giving me a reward based on what he's heard in the media. So I think when you sue companies over frivolous stuff, it kind of ruins it for everybody who has a legitimate gripe.
I mean, I heard some things about people finding weird things in their meals. Mm-hmm. That's different.
Yeah.
That's totally different. That's the fault of the restaurant.
I had a finger tonight, but I was so hungry I just jammed it down my throat.
No, you didn't.
And pretty soon I'm going to throw up and flip you off at the same time. Because I think it was a middle finger, babes.
Oh.
Sorry.
No. I heard horror stories about that. And I also heard horror stories about conditions in restaurants. And that's the restaurant's fault.
I have a cousin. It's actually the one we were talking about earlier.
Okay.
And him and his dad do plumbing on the Big Island of Hawaii.
Yeah. And
the last time I saw him, he told me that there are places that he used to eat at before he had to go and do work in their kitchen. And he saw how dirty their kitchens were, so he stopped eating at some specific restaurants.
I can understand why, yeah. Mm-hmm. You just, sometimes it's best to kind of not see what goes on in the kitchen.
See, on one hand, I completely hear you, and I believe that the younger me would have been a lot more sympathetic to that. Mm. But on the other hand, food is such a complicated thing. Mm. I don't think that there's pretty much anything that we eat that I would really want to know how it got to my plate. And I'm talking even vegetables.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of like, there are things that I don't think that we need to know complete details over unless we really want to know that. Like, I don't want to know how breakfast sausages get from the store to my plate, or to the store, from the store to my plate.
Or from the farm to the store.
Right. You know what I mean. I don't need to know that. I don't need to know how my steak gets to the restaurant and onto my plate.
In the 1990s, mm-hmm. I was watching an episode of Oprah. I want to say this was 94.
Is that the one where she went to trial because of the cow thing?
No. This is a different one. Mm. She was talking about all the gross things around your house. And one of the things she was saying, and of course we're sitting on a bed, did you know that your bed has 27 million dust mites? And she's showing close-up images of them. And like the whole hour is going through how disgusting somebody's house is, right? Mm. But, it's like the last segment before Oprah closes down the show for the day. Mm-hmm. She has on this family and she's like, let's talk to a family who doesn't want to know about this stuff. And they're like, yeah, we don't want to freak out about it. She's like, you don't want to know? And they're like, no. And I remember at the time being more like Oprah, where I can't believe these people are living in their own filth and they don't want information about it.
Right.
But this is actually something that's happened within the last year or two since COVID started.
I think now it's like I
can't do it all.
I can't. I mean, I've watched like shows like that says, you know what you're touching, like, you know what the grossest thing in a hotel room is, and you know what the grossest thing is in your kitchen. And I'm like, okay, it's hard enough that I'm trying to keep a clean house. Do I really want to know all that stuff? And,
what's it going to do for you?
What are you going to do? You're going to bring like a small thing of hand sanitizer everywhere? I mean, I have relatives that are like super afraid of that stuff. But I think, here's what I think. Like, it's gross, but sometimes you have to have bacteria around you.
Doctors will tell you.
You do. You can't be in a house that's like an OR.
Back in the day, in like 2010, mm-hmm. I was reading Scientific American.
Yeah.
they were still doing tests on this, so I don't know the end result. I may have told you this before. And forgive me if I'm repeating myself.
That's okay.
But they did some study on little kids who develop brain cancer.
Yeah.
And they think that there was a link between parents who had an ultra clean environment and kids who develop cancer early on. Like something about it because their body didn't have enough germs to fight against.
That makes sense because I understand they have to keep ORs like spick and span, right? Because they're dealing with surgeries and whatnot. But if you treat your house like an OR and you don't invite any kind of bacteria, then you can't build up your immune system and you're not going to be able to fight whatever thing you get. And I think that, studies are now showing that you have to expose your body to that.
And it will make you stronger.
It will make you stronger.
That's right, it will.
Yeah, that's why I think, now I didn't like rolling around in mud or anything or walking barefoot, but that was my choice. I also understood that sometimes I would get dirty. And I remember, here's a story.
Tell me.
I remember I went to this place called the Hawaii Nature Center in Manoa Valley on Oahu. Really fun place to go for kids. I went there on a field trip twice. And I remember the first time I went there, I came back. I was like 7 years old. I came back to my grandma's house and she's like, "Oh, you're dirty. You gotta go take a bath." I'm like, wait, yeah, I was dirty. But I didn't care because I knew I was going to get dirty. Yeah, it's a fun place.
That's good.
Yeah. It is fun. A lot of fun.
This may sound unrelated.
Okay.
But I was watching TYT the other day.
It is unrelated.
Well, hold on.
No, just kidding.
Yes. They were talking about Chrissy Teigen?
Chrissy.
Yeah, Chrissy is leaving Twitter. And apparently it's because she's been harassed a lot. And so like Jake and Anna are going back and forth. And they're now of the opinion that Twitter's a little bit too much of a cesspool. But one of the things that...
It's been a cesspool for a while.
I know. I actually feel that way too.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm a leftist, but come on. You can't cancel everybody just because they have a Twitter account.
Exactly.
But in any event, Cenk was talking about all the people who have gone after him over the years. And he says, people think that it's just like right-wing people who attack me. But it's like, no, it's everyone. People further to the left, people to the center left. And he's like, I just go about my day and realize that it's going to be like this for a few days. And then things are going to get better.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring that up in relation to this is it kind of makes me think of the idea of online trolls. And maybe that's what's needed. Maybe instead of just like letting it affect us so much, what we really should be focusing on is having exposure to these trolls. So when they attack us in whatever way they do, it doesn't really have that big of an effect. I don't know. That's just a theory.
It's funny you say that because I could even talk about chatline trolls myself.
Go ahead.
And it's people that So the line that I'm referring to is it specifically has forums that they're not live forums. You can make a live forum, but you don't have to do that. But what they do is they won't they'll pick on and not just anybody that has a different view than you, but they'll also assassinate people's characters. And when I was on there much early on, it used to really affect me because, by that time I was only like in my early 20s, right? When you're in your early 20s, you don't really, some people don't have a thick skin. And one of the things that is fun to do is not just to push back, but, to think, what? I know who I am. I have friends and they may not have friends, and I'm not gonna let that bother me.
As you know, babes, I used to do these live events in the dark, right?
Yes.
I think I can talk about this.
Well, yeah, you can. I mean, it's not like anyone's going to hear it.
Yeah. I used to be part of this organization called the Blind Cafe. We did dinners in the dark, and I left it, and that's a whole another story. But anyways, we were doing this event once, and it was only a couple months before we met. And there are some nights when we would perform where you could tell the crowd wasn't into it, and other times where you knew that you had the audience in the palm of your hands. And that they were just with you for whatever reason.
Yes.
This was one of those nights. The crowd, I was one speaking, and they were hanging on my every word. Like, they really were. Except for one lady who was really drunk and kept interrupting me.
Wow.
So, finally, her sister gets up and she's like, I'm so sorry. And I found out later that the sister wanted to come because she had known, that I was doing poetry.
Yeah.
She was a fan of that scene.
Yeah.
So anyways, they leave.
Yeah.
And the audience is like, fuck her, fuck her. Not exactly like that. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but they were like against her.
Really?
Yeah, as she was leaving, they're like applauding that she's going out and everything. I was a little bit uncomfortable with that, so I tried to say, hey guys, I know we're all mad. And they were like, yeah, fuck her, get her out of here. But I'm like, I know we're mad at her. I know she acted inappropriately tonight, but I would like to say that there were times in my life when I acted incorrectly. And I don't want to bring up religion, and everybody's like, bring up religion. So I said, I study Buddhism to a certain extent, and I believe that I know it's easy to say fuck her and to direct negative energy towards her, but what I would like you to do tonight, if you feel like it, after the show, take a few minutes, think about her, and try to send good vibes her way. Because I know in the past when I've done stuff like this, it's usually because I felt mentally troubled. And I wouldn't want anybody to rejoice in her pain.
I would go even a step further.
You would, but this is why you didn't work at the organization. Go ahead.
I know. But if I was caught up in a situation now, realistically, I'm not going to lie and say that initially I would feel like being kind to this person or even praying for this person, right? So I would have to really, assess the situation and think to myself, well, why don't I show this woman some grace? Maybe she is going through some problems. Initially, I wouldn't feel that way. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Initially, I want to get back at her and say, why did you interrupt my performance? But, some people at times just need some grace and just say, well, look, maybe this person is having a problem and they haven't dealt with it. And at least, the sister, because you're talking about her sister, right?
Yeah.
The sister came up and apologized for her because she couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So the sister did what she was not able to do.
So you want to hear a kicker to that story?
What's that?
There was a lady at the same table,
Yeah.
like a seat apart from the little girl who's freaking out.
Yeah.
She told me later that based on my speech, she wanted to volunteer with the organization, and now she's like the number 2 person in charge there.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. Just from being in the audience.
And, hearing my dissertation. I'm not going to take all the credit for her success.
Well,
because
yeah.
quite frankly, I don't deserve it, even though
Well,
my ego would have
I
me
think
believe
that's
so.
good, though, because I know you felt uncomfortable, but when she was doing that, were you feeling uncomfortable? Did you want to get her off the stage, or?
I wanted to, here's the thing. I agreed with the audience that was not the appropriate place to be for her, and that she was definitely acting out. But I didn't like the idea of everybody just like attacking her.
Yeah, exactly. I
thought
don't
was
like
a
that
step
either.
too far.
I think that there's way too many. I mean, there's people that want to cause division, and I'm talking about the audience, right? And maybe at the time they just were so angry that they weren't thinking about how that would affect her. But I'm glad you spoke up and said, look, she was not inappropriate, but let's move on and think, wish her well.
Yeah. And it's this weird dichotomy in me because having said all that, I do have problems with forgiveness and letting things go, as you know. And some of my favorite musicians kind of promote the idea of, let's get revenge, whether it's Tupac or, KRS-One to some extent.
Yeah. But here's the thing to think about, though.
Go ahead.
Revenge might seem good at the time, but afterwards you feel awful about it, I would say.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think in reality, like a revenge movie is different, right? Because it's not real. Mm-hmm. Like Revenge and Ever After was very sweet. I thought it was.
That was awesome,
right? But that's a fairy tale, okay? In real life, you get revenge, you get what you want, but then you feel terrible at the same time. Like, ooh, maybe I went too far, and now I feel bad because the person's hurt or whatever it is, or the person didn't get what they needed from this experience. It's just I attack them.
And the point isn't that, oh great, I made this person cry, and now they're listening to Kurt Cobain songs and trying to find out what gun he bought so they can duplicate it.
Yeah.
The point is that they actually learn a lesson and become a better person. At
the same time, though, revenge is not always good, but at the same time, when it is time to push back against someone that isn't treating you treating you fairly, there is a time for that, but there's also a time to keep quiet.
Yeah. I like that Tupac song, Hail Mary. The opening line is, I ain't a killer, but don't push me. Revenge is like the sweetest joy next to getting pussy. I always related to that line.
Yes, of course.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you didn't.
No.
You're not really a Tupac fan.
I'm not really a hip-hop. I mean, I like hip-hop, but I like what I like, but I'm not really into that scene. I'm just not. I don't know.
That's fair.
I just think that there's a lot. I mean, some of it's really degrading, and it's. I know. People will say it's only lyrics, but
and you're old fashioned.
It says a lot about what they're thinking. I think.
I was joking around, babes, with my friends this week because was it this week or last week? I want to say it was like Monday, and they were saying we need to get Alana on here, and I'm like, no, she's not into social media. And my friend's like, she sounds very old fashioned. My reply was, oh yeah, she's still using the beta version of Jaws 1.
Just for that?
Oh, no, babes. No, you're supposed to practice forgiveness there, Jaylo.
Yeah, but I didn't do that yet.
All right, stop.
You see, you shouldn't talk bad about your girlfriends around your friends.
I was just having fun with the guys, babes.
Yeah, I'm sure they were yucking it up afterwards.
They did laugh. It took them a second. They're like, really? And I'm like, no. And then they started laughing.
Oh, gosh.
My sister thinks that she kind of falls in the category with you where she doesn't get how people can find me so funny. I think.
No, I think you're hilarious, but there's just some things that I'm just like, okay, yeah, that's a little too much.
Uh-oh.
I think for the most part they're really funny, but at the same time it's like, why would you joke about that? That's awful.
It's just the way I look at the world, babes.
Well, maybe you should change your outlook.
Maybe I shouldn't, okay.
Maybe you should, okay. That might actually get more people laughing at you, or with you, rather. With you.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It was weird not waking up next to you this morning.
It wasn't for me.
You're like... Oh,
no.
It was weird with how good I felt.
No, maybe I should say this better.
Tell me.
The reason why I was okay with that is because I knew that I was going to see you. So it wasn't like, I'm not like a clingy girlfriend or anything, because I don't like it when. Have you ever met those girls that just want to they just want to be around their boyfriends a lot?
Yes, I've dated girls like that.
Doesn't that get annoying?
It's one of those things that when you're a teenager, it sounds really good on paper, and then you experience it and you realize why people complain about it.
Because I've had friends that have told me, oh yeah, this girl's really clingy, or this girl that I used to go out with was super, super clingy, and she would not leave me alone. And I wouldn't like that if a guy was like that to me, but and I've met women that have been married for a while, and if their husbands are on a trip for like 2 days, they're like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna miss my husband. I'm like, he's only gonna be gone for a weekend.
Yeah, it's like you can have a life outside of him.
Yeah, and I can I can occupy myself, no problem. I'm okay with that. I'm okay.
It would have been nice if I was missed a little bit, though.
Of course I miss you. That's why I asked you to come over here.
Okay.
Don't you think that if I didn't miss you, I would say, no, you're going to see me the week after I...
We should say that Alana and I will not be doing this next weekend because she's going out of town to go to church. Now, why she can't find a church in Portland, I don't know. But
that's another story.
That's another story for another time.
That doesn't need to be advertised here.
That's right, Jaylo, and I am not going to.
You almost did.
Oh. But, in any event, I woke up away from you this morning, which was a little bit strange.
Yeah.
I got out of bed at like 5:30, but I ended up having this really cool morning. I watched a little bit of news, not too much. Finished listening to the Sagar and Jetty interview. And he was getting into books. He talked about the Lyndon Johnson biography that I've been telling you about. And after that, I obviously went on Clubhouse, got into this cool discussion in this movie room about the film The Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
And I found this group that meets once a week.
Excuse me.
Each week they'll concentrate on another Indian spice. So, for example, today they were talking about saffron.
Excuse me.
That's okay, babes. And apparently saffron, I don't know a lot about it, and maybe I should. It grows into like this flower.
Yeah.
Part of it is red. The rest of it is like yellow and white.
And let me ask you, I know this is a stupid question.
Go ahead.
You're talking about Flower, right? Not Flour?
No, not the kind you bake with.
Oh, okay. Because when you said flower, I wasn't sure it grows into a flower. Okay.
Oh my God.
What?
Shit. I just remembered. You remember how I'm always telling you I'm going to bring over the Bob's Red Mill stuff to
It's
you?
okay. It's fine. Doesn't matter.
All right, next time I come over. I was looking at it this morning.
You don't have to freak out. It's not a big deal.
Okay, anyways. Basically, I won this I won like $20 worth of Bob's Red Mill.
It was pancake mix.
Yeah, and I was going to bring it to you.
It's okay. It's not a big deal.
I keep telling you
I'm trying to figure out where I was going to put it anyway.
Okay. Anyways, back to saffron. Apparently here in the U.S., we only, for the most part, use the red part of the flower and disregard the white and yellow portion of it. And the white part especially is supposed to be really good for our eye and mental health. But it was super interesting. Like, one guy got on the call and said, "Oh yeah, I'm having my saffron hot chocolate right now."
Did he say what type of saffron he was using? Like if it was yellow or?
I think he said it was the white part of it, if I remember correctly, which I may not be.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to that room next week and hear more about spices. I think that's good.
What is the yellow saffron for? What part of the yellow part of it? What is it for?
I don't know. I wasn't in the group too long before I went over to the Blues Brothers one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've tried, I don't know what kind of saffron it was, but I've tried saffron tea that my sister made for me once, and it was just too strong. I didn't like it.
One of the ladies was saying if you grow it yourself, it smells really strong but super good.
Okay.
And it's almost indescribable, according to her.
It's like, because I love the smell of lavender, but sometimes the oil from the lavender can be kind of strong.
It's overpowering to me sometimes. I can only use a little bit at a time.
Yeah, a little dab will do you. And you know, if you put some on yourself, you could also use it as a fragrance.
I would not do that, but it's cool to know that's an option.
It is an option.
Yes, you will.
I also heard, I heard that lavender oil, and I've been using it too, is lavender oil is really good for sleep.
Yeah.
And I also heard that peppermint oil is good for waking up.
I've heard that too. I think from you.
Yeah, and lavender oil also helps with different kinds of bites and motion sickness, and I think morning sickness too.
Interesting.
Yeah. Lavender is great for different kinds of things.
That's awesome, babes.
I gotta order some more. I'm running low on it.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, when I got over here and you said to me, don't use the paper towels or try not to. Luckily, our meal came with some napkins.
Yeah. Well, I said use them sparingly, but, you know, don't go overboard on the paper towels because I have to order some more.
I am a paper towel freak, and I'm always telling you to stock up on them. Aren't I always saying that, babes?
Way too much. Well, see, this is what I've gone back to doing because I noticed that paper towels are good for wiping up smaller messes.
Yes.
For me anyway. But when I've been finding that if I'm wiping something like around my stove top or around my counter, with a cloth, it cleans it much better because it absorbs it better.
I've noticed that too.
Yeah. So if Bounty is a quicker, thicker picker-upper, I'm not sure about that.
Oh.
Maybe it does.
Yes.
What it does, but I'm not going to spill a tomato sauce on my counter just to check if it actually works.
Yes.
By the way, I have to have you look at my stovetop.
Oh, yeah, we got to do that at some point.
Because I think, anyway, you can...
We'll get there when
we'll get there. Yes. We'll get there.
So anyways, I also took a nap this morning, but I feel really, really good.
Good.
And I had an interesting ride over here. This lady picked me up. She started telling me about her life story and how she's a mental health professional. So I was good. What did you get into this morning before I came over?
Let's see. I was listening to a podcast. It was, I was in a mystery mood, so I was listening to a little bit of that. Woke up around 8:30. Didn't actually get up until about 9-ish. Took a quick shower. Was on my computer for a bit. I had to get some mail and look at that. And that's basically it. I did some cleaning in the living room and in here, and yeah, that's about it.
That's good, babes.
Yeah.
Yes. I understand, Jaylo, that I did not read any books this week because I was in the house.
Yes.
Club house. But you read a book on Greek mythology. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. And today, or last night, you started a new book about the same subject.
Yes, so I just finished a book called Favorite Greek Myths. It's 12 of the best Greek myths. And it was interesting. So I was listening to the introduction to the second book that I'm reading called Greek Gods and Heroes. And it's 15 of the best well-known Greek myths. And apparently, Greek and Latin poets were responsible for writing these Greek myths. For example, Homer is part of it. You know, like Homer's Odyssey?
Yes.
So I believe he was one of the people responsible for writing these myths. And some of them are retold. And they're, it was interesting because, Greeks had to memorize their gods and goddesses. And I think the reason why they are educated that way is because Greeks have been known to believe that heaven is different, where there isn't just one god, but there's several gods and they have goddesses. And they have, put those beliefs into these stories, and it's kind of interesting. I mean, they use them to explain away nature, and the Romans have also adopted these myths. And also really interesting. So Greeks had to memorize those gods and goddesses just as much as they had to memorize scriptures in the Bible. And even though the Romans were being converted to Christianity, they still thought that Greek mythology was really popular and they read it a lot. So that was kind of different.
My religious history is not what yours is. So this is probably going to sound like a dumb question.
Yes.
But were the Romans forced to convert to Christianity?
I wouldn't say forced.
You would say you could do it or you could die. Painfully.
Well, they gave them choices. I mean, they did preach the apostles did preach to the Romans, but they did preach to the Romans, but they weren't forced. They could choose either or, but they didn't want that. They didn't want anyone to perish.
Okay, so walk me through this. Okay. I'm a Roman. Mm-hmm. I decide that I'm not going to believe in Jesus. Do I get killed because of that?
You may get killed because of. I mean, they're not going to kill you. The apostles never outright killed any Roman.
Let me rephrase it. Will a Christian kill me for not believing in Jesus at around the time when the apostles were alive?
No.
Okay.
No, if anything, Paul, like, let me give you an example. Paul and Silas were put into prison in the book of Acts because they were preaching the gospel. So it's the other way around.
Oh, good.
What?
Stop!
Oh, good. What do you mean, oh, good?
Well, you need adversity in life so you can overcome.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Give me a kiss.
Yeah,
give me a kiss.
You're encouraging kidnapping and murdering.
No, babes, that's you. Now give me a kiss.
Okay, let me explain something
Go
to
on.
you, and I won't tickle you because of this.
Good.
So a lot of these Christians in the New Testament were experiencing religious persecution by a lot of people, like the Romans, and they were some of them were put in prison. Some of them had their heads cut off, or at least one had their head cut off.
Nope. Knocked over the recorder.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
I had to scratch my ear. So a lot of these people were put in prison. Some of them were one of them was stoned to death. And I mean, it's the other way around where the Christians were being killed or sent to prison.
Nice.
It's not nice. Ow.
It's not nice, babes.
I'm
sorry, was that your finger?
That was my hand.
Sorry, babes. That's the one that you spoiled.
Yeah, something like that. But it's getting better little by little.
That's good, babes.
Yes.
Yes. Well, that's cool how the different religions intermix and mythology. And you're dating a god. You're dating the bald god.
I don't consider you a god.
Do you feel, babes, in some way that makes you an outcast in life, that you don't recognize my abilities?
Oh, my goodness. Okay. How conceited you are. You know, it's not good to be conceited.
I'm having fun, babes.
Oh.
What would happen, babes? I'm just curious. If you told, like, your mom on the phone, well, I gotta let you go, the bald god's coming over.
She wouldn't know who that was.
And you said, well, you know the bald god. We worship him. He's Rick. He's the bald god.
No.
You don't think she'd like that?
No.
Oh.
Or no.
Okay.
Despite what your friend call you.
I am the bald god. Okay.
Ah.
Oh my goodness. I heard that B. Arthur, before she died, she had to go through chemotherapy and she lost her hair. So they called her the bald mod.
Wah, wah, wah. That wasn't your best joke, Bubs.
These dad jokes don't always work out in my favor. I came up with that one off the top of my head. So you got to give me some credit, babes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you like some Melaleuca oil a little bit?
Yes, after we're done doing this, but we can wrap up fairly soon.
Yeah.
We're done with DS9.
I can't believe it. I still can't believe it.
I know, and I was thinking maybe tomorrow, if you wanted to,
Yes.
we could start on the Ken Burns Civil War documentary and prep for, obviously not this weekend, and next weekend you're going to be, at the worshiping another god. But maybe
The real one.
Maybe in 2 weeks we could watch Gone with the Wind, possibly if you wanted to. But we watched Ken Burns first.
Or do you want to go? Or do you want to see some TNG episodes?
Ooh, TNG is good. Let's play it by ear.
Okay.
Yeah, I really.
I mean, I'm not in a big rush to watch Ken Burns.
Yeah.
Even though I heard some really cool things about his documentaries. So I know that there's been some divisiveness around the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
Does he address the divisiveness, or does he say, okay, is it like this is what Ken Burns thinks happened, or does he show both sides of it?
I'm assuming by divisiveness you mean that some people think that it was done to keep the Union intact instead of to end slavery.
Something like that. I mean, I know I've been hearing some things about people like there wasn't any black men fighting the war, or
yeah, that's not true. He does address it. Now, there were actually more black men fighting on the Confederate side, but the reason for that is because they were slaves and they were forced to defend the South. Right. He does address it.
But I would imagine there were whites that were against that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
If now I haven't watched it since probably 2008. But if I remember correctly, he does address that stuff.
I was thinking of rereading Freedom Train. I'm not sure if there is a definitive biography on Harriet Tubman, but I remember reading it when I was in 6th grade, and I really liked it.
There's got to be a good one on her.
Yeah, I did like Freedom Train too, because it talks about how she was trying to help rescue slaves and take them to the Underground Railroad, and Quakers were helping them get to places like Maryland and Canada.
I don't know the Quaker religion too well, but they seem, from what I could tell, like for people of the Christian faith, like they're pretty rational.
From what it sounds like to me, they seem pretty liberal, considering, because when I think about it, almost sounds, so I don't know much about that either. I just know that they're somewhat of a Christian sect, but there are sects of Christianity that aren't really Christian either.
Oh.
So I heard that they're really quiet. So as far as I know, like, they don't sing. Or maybe they do sing. I don't know. I heard that they don't speak until they have like the quote unquote inner light, which I guess is supposed to mean that the Holy Spirit would lead them to speak, which is kind of strange how it's worded. And then after the services, they have food, but they call themselves the Friends, Quaker Friends.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm not quite sure who started it or what it is. They almost sound like they could be tied to the Amish, but I'm not sure about that either.
I don't know. Maybe I should see if there's a Quaker church in town that we could go check out one day.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm not a Christian, but it would be interesting to meet some Quakers.
Well, why don't you go to a Quaker Oats company?
Oh,
maybe you can meet
maybe I'll go
Quaker
see Quaker Holland Oats.
What?
Maybe I'll go see Quaker Holland Oats.
Holland Oats.
Yeah, Quaker Holland Oats.
Quaker Holland Oats, yeah.
Holland Oats, not Holland.
Not
Yes.
Holland.
Yes.
Hall and Oats.
Yeah, I didn't really
That's okay. When I was a kid, I thought it was Hall and Oats. Hall and Notes. It's Hall and Oats. Anywho.
Oh, babes, I remember. You remember that Japanese movie we watched last weekend, the one that we liked?
It wasn't Kiki's Delivery Service. It wasn't, no. It wasn't Spirited Away. It was afterwards.
It was afterwards. I forgot the name of it, but I remember after we finished doing that recording.
It's going to drive me crazy. Hold on, let me think about it. It's not Spirited Away. It is, what was it about now?
This girl who was adopted by Gina Davis. And then she...
Oh, yeah. When Marnie was there.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember after we finished recording, you said that you forgot to talk about one of the characters.
Did I?
Yes. And I probably should have ran this by you earlier, but I just remember this now. So
Was it young Marnie?
it was like some dude
Some dude?
in the document, in the movie.
Not Mr. Oiwa.
No.
Oh, yes. Remember when, young Marnie was having like a flashback, right? In the silo.
Yes.
And she's like, I think his name was, Kazuhiko. And she's like, Kazuhiko, I'm so glad you came back. And then when the old lady was telling her the story, she said that Kazuhiko was her husband. And then you see him and he says, come on, Marnie, let's go home.
That's what it was.
Yeah. And I thought maybe Kazuhiko was like her brother.
Oh.
But it was Marnie's husband.
You were upset a little bit later that day because you didn't mention it. And at one point, I almost broke out the recorder so you could talk about it. But I thought, no, we'll address this tomorrow. But then we got into the DS9 conversation.
Yeah.
And the story on 42nd Street.
Yes, and I wanted to mention Kazuhiko because I thought he was a part of the complete story of Marnie and why Marnie was with Anna for a while, not knowing that Marnie was was what do you call it was connected to Anna. Yep.
Good stuff, babes.
It was very good.
Yes. I need to get back into reading books, babes. I think this week, when you're away, I'm going to start reading something, but I don't know what yet.
Okay.
Yes. But I've been having some issues with Bod.
Really? Why?
It keeps doing that sound thing that I told you about.
I don't understand.
And it stopped it for a while, but then they did some update, and now it's doing this weird thing to where it'll go like this, in and out. And it's really, really annoying to hear that.
I wonder if there's a way that you can write to them and
I have.
You have?
Oh yeah. Well, I gave an app review where I mentioned that, and I didn't hear anything back from them.
Okay, so hopefully they will.
Maybe I could reach out to them actually.
Yeah, they're really nice. They're really, yeah. I'm sure they'll answer your question.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure. Or call the library in Salem.
I've heard that they got some good people working there.
Yeah, and I never once called them, but and I've never been to their library, but I would imagine that they're nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you do that?
Maybe I will be, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've almost always had good experiences with librarians, with just like 2 exceptions. But they're usually really nice people.
They're very nice, but some of them talk very, very quietly.
They should be on NPR because they talk like this. Maybe they should be on All Things Considered.
Yeah, they talk very monotone. So I remember this librarian who will not be named.
Okay.
And she was in Hawaii. And I remember that I was, I've talked to her once before, and there were times where she would talk like this, and the only time she would be a little bit loud is if she would laugh. But then she would go back to talking like this in a whispered tone. You know how grown-ups will tell children, adults will tell children, you have to use your inside voices. Yeah. Indoor voices. Too loud. You have to use your indoor voices, right? Mm-hmm. And they do it to quiet them down. And she reminds me of somebody that would say, indoor voices.
Oh, there's a story I want to tell, but I don't think I'm allowed to.
Tell that in private.
Oh.
What did it have to do with a librarian?
No, but it had to do with this lady I was staying with once who kind of sounded like a librarian, but I don't want her to get back to her. But
well, tell me privately then.
Yeah. I always hate doing that. I always hate teasing stuff and then like not saying it here.
I'm going to remind you after we get off.
But you're more into that stuff than I am. Of like not talking about every detail. Like I remember yesterday when I brought up, what time do you want me to come over? You didn't want to talk about it then. Well,
I did because I just thought I didn't think you were going to bring it up here. Oh. I just thought, well, why don't we talk about it privately? Why does everybody have to know about everything about our life?
That's our lives. I am, babes.
Yeah, but not, it's okay if you're not always open. You don't have to be an open book or an open door. Oh. Just like it's not always okay for people to have an open door policy.
True.
Would you get it? Would you agree?
I would agree.
I wouldn't talk about anything that would outright embarrass you. See, you got to think about those things, buddy.
That's true, babes. I do.
No, you don't.
Yeah, with you, I do.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I would never try to embarrass you, Leo.
Yes, you did.
When?
Oh, several times.
Oh, I don't remember those, and they don't count, okay?
No.
Yeah, they don't count, okay?
Several times.
I'm not counting those, okay?
Well... I'll bring it up next time.
If we're going to watch TNG at some point, not tonight because we got some possible movies. Yes. There's an episode that a friend of mine said that I should show you first. Mm-hmm. And it's good, but it's called The Inner Light. Okay. I don't want to give the premise away. But it really reminds me of a DS9 episode, which came later. But I think DS9 did the storyline better. Okay. Well, we'll talk about it tomorrow, I'm sure. Okay. Yes. Huh. It's The Inner Light. Sounds like a Quaker service to me. Oh. But that's what I hear. I don't know. Have you ever gone to a liberal church? Not all the time, but just once, just to see what it was like. By a liberal, what do you mean? Like transgendered bathrooms, homeless people off the street? I mean the type of church you could see somebody like me going to. Not like that, no. Mm-mm. I mean, I've gone to mega churches, but they didn't seem liberal to me. I just seemed like it was too showy. You went to a mega church? I would consider it a mega church. Ew. Yeah. I know some people who are super into that stuff. So I know I can understand why, and I'll tell you why. Go ahead. A lot of these mega churches, yes, they are very they like to try to get as many people in the pews. But the problem is that they use a lot of bells and whistles to do it, which means entertainment,
that also includes drama, comedy. The music has to be good. You have to have stuff that appeals to more worldly people, which I think that's a really bad idea. And it's just too showy. It's too showy. And the reason why I liked going to this particular church, the people were very nice, by the way. I'm not gonna badmouth anybody, but it just seems like all these mega churches I've been hearing about, and because I've been to one, they're very, very showy. And I think they're missing the point about what it really means to spread the gospel. And I think that they're more worried about how many people are in the pews. And I have a real problem with that.
Do you think, babes?
No.
Well, you...
I do think, but not about that.
Are Republican.
Hey!
No, babes.
Hot shot.
I love you there, Jaylo. I love you, babes. But no, here's my question for you.
What?
You're going to be out of town next week unless you decide to change your mind, and I ain't going to stop you if you decide to.
I'm not changing my mind.
Okay, but if you decide to, don't look for me to stand in your way.
Right.
But assuming that you are indeed out of town tomorrow, do you think...
I'm not going out of town tomorrow.
No, I meant next week.
Yeah.
Do you think that I would have a fun time if I made some popcorn, got my butter and salt on, and then turned on TBN on like Sunday morning?
Well, I don't even watch TBN anymore.
But do you think I would have a fun time doing that?
Maybe not. No, okay. I don't think you would be getting your fill.
I did really... this is probably not the best side of my personality, but I did like those B.D. Hyman videos where she's like trashing her mother.
Oh, jeez. So I listened to a little bit about those.
I watched like several hours one day when I was supposed to be doing meditation.
So the reason why I watched them is because I wanted to see just how I wanted to see exactly if what she said would align with scripture, and some of it she didn't. She did not. But it was interesting to listen to. But you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of those like old 80s Christian presentations.
Because it's shot really badly.
Did she have like a book in front of her?
She had, if I remember correctly, and it's been years since I've seen it, I believe she's sitting at a desk with books behind her.
Okay. Because I remember, I don't even know when these things came out. Because it sounds so 80s.
Yeah,
it sounds really old. Yeah. So I don't know how old she was, but she did say that she was still married to her husband, and her mother was really upset that she had boys.
Her mother being the great Betty Davis.
Right. So, I mean, I didn't listen to a lot of B.D. Hyman, but when I listened to her, I thought, okay, part of it is true, part of it isn't true. I would say that most of it isn't true about what she's trying to say.
I made the mistake, babes.
Yes.
I read this book about Betty Davis's assistant that she wrote about her experience.
Yes.
And she bashed B.D. Hyman's. So.
She did.
Yeah, she was nice about it, but she basically said, Miss Davis was like really nice to her daughter. Yeah. I believe she called her Miss D. But her daughter was just kind of crazy and whatnot. She said it nicer than I just did.
Okay.
But in any event, this was right after I also read this book called The Divine Feud.
Yeah.
I think that's the name about it. And it's about Betty Davis's relationship with Joan Crawford.
I thought about reading Mommy Dearest, but I wonder if it's going to be too heavy.
It's an odd book, but in any event.
Yeah.
I read those two books on like a Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
And Sunday morning, I'm supposed to go off to an introduction to Transcendental Meditation class. Yeah. TM introduction class.
Yeah.
But I started watching these B.D. Hyman videos, and it's getting closer and closer to the time I would have to leave.
Yeah.
And then finally I hear B.D. Hyman say, well, Mother used to have these enemies, and she would tear up their photos and throw them in a trash thing by the bend and set them on fire and say some incantations. And that's about the point I thought to myself, yeah, I'm not going to this thing.
I think it's kind of interesting. Videos. So you didn't have to, you weren't obligated to go though.
No. I signed up for it, but it was a free introduction.
And when was this?
This was like 4 or 5 years ago. It was like a year before we met. I want to say the summer of 2019. 2017, rather.
Yeah, I was going to say 2019 was only 2 years ago.
I know. It was like the summer of 2017. And I eventually did go to the introduction to TM class.
Okay. Yeah, I can kind of understand why you would get caught up in it, and I'm kind of wondering if I should look at it just to kind of rag on how weird the video is. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I guess we'll never know which one was the crazier of the two of them.
They're probably both crazy, but
they got their issues.
Yeah, I doubt that Betty Davis was really burning pictures of her enemies and saying weird stuff at the same time, but
I do believe
it's a fun story.
It's possible that this is true where I think her name was Barbara. Her real name was Barbara. But B.D. Hyman, I believe that it's possible that Betty Davis wanted her to be a mini Betty Davis.
Now, she did say that in the video, and I could believe that.
I could believe it, yeah.
Yeah.
But I've just been noticing this trend where there are these people that are much older than us that they've had like some really, really deep wounds in their soul, right? And they just have not been able to get over them or to get help for them. It's really sad. That's what I've been noticing.
It is sad.
I mean, people that are either close to my parents' age or older, and it's like, why haven't you dealt with them before?
Don't you want to live your best life possible?
Yes, I mean, and it's not just in the blind community. It's different kinds of people. It's very sad. Mm-hmm. It's like, why are you so angry all the time? Haven't you figured out how to control that? You know, why do you hate people? I don't know.
It's hard to talk to people.
It's sad. That. It's very sad. It's like, well, how do I approach it, or should I just ignore them? It's very sad. Yes, you know, how can you tell someone that they're creating a delusion of their own?
They don't want to believe you. There's not much you can really do.
True. It has to be up to them.
Share some B.D. Hyman videos and hope they have a good laugh and don't relate to her too much.
Yeah.
Yes.
Something like that, okay.
That's white, Jaylo.
That's white.
Yes, it was. But no, I do hear what you're saying. It is sad when people get stuck in these like mental circles. And they're agree. Just going around and around and they don't know how to break the patterns. I know somebody on Facebook.
Yes.
Right. And I don't want to say too much about it, but I noticed that she has the ability to do this. Mm-hmm. And it's not about politics or anything.
You're right. Okay.
And I just feel sad that people get stuck in that pattern. But part of it too, if we're going to be real, is I may not do that to the same extent, but I definitely have the tendency to get stuck in these circles as well.
Well, see, I know someone, I don't know this person very well. I'm not going to say who she is, but I've noticed that this person's excuse is like, well, they don't accept me, right? But if it's something that's like super outlandish that you're kind of imposing on somebody, right? Mm-hmm. How could a person accept them if it's just like, you know, if they don't say something like, well, you can believe me or not, you don't have to believe the same way I do, or, I'll just say that she has a very interesting relationship with things rather than people.
Oh, okay, I know who
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not so much that people don't want to accept her, it's just that this person is making it very hard.
Yeah.
Would you say?
From what I can tell, and you've had... Listen, the few times I've been around this person, they seemed a little bit strange, but they didn't seem as out there as you've made them sound. But you've also we've never been around this person together. They're just sort of in our community.
Yes, I've been around this person a few times, and this person's a very nice person.
Yes.
But I really do think that this person is just not happy.
Yeah.
It's sad. I mean, what can you do?
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of woke culture, even though I'm pretty far to the left. But like,
I don't think you're that far, actually.
Thank you, Bates. But you know, I'm a lefty. I would call myself a lefty. But one of the like cool things about having a more inclusive environment is it seems in some ways it gives people more of a chance to meet their tribe and their people. Now, there's also, that can be destructive because you can make the argument, well, then people just enable each other. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
If we take it to that extreme. But somebody could make the counter argument that sometimes you need to be in these tribes where you feel accepted and loved for a certain amount of time to get over your issues.
But then there are times where I think, well, you haven't been over your issue yet. Why is it taking you so long?
But maybe it's because they never felt heard before from people who are going through the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really complicated. Mm-hmm. It really is. It's one thing if you put yourself out there and you impose it on people and you expect them to accept you, but you don't give them any room to say, hey, I don't understand this.
See, in my feeling, I think that the ability to hear questions from others should always be open. Right?
Yeah. Because I feel it, I have asked this particular person questions, but I got the feeling like she was expecting everyone to understand her.
Yes.
And it's not, it hasn't worked. And I just wonder if she has any, I wonder if she has thought of any more strategies to get people to understand where she's coming from, because you can't just expect someone to accept you if you're not willing to kind of, walk people through it, I guess. If that makes any sense.
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
And sometimes maybe it's about, in my opinion, right? Because I have friends who I don't understand or agree with everything they do.
Exactly.
But I can still love the person. So, but it's also a different thing, because if I am close to somebody, I can have that conversation where I say, I don't understand this. It doesn't make any sense to me. However, if it makes you happy and if it's not hurting anybody else, God bless, you have my full support.
Well, I actually said God bless, my goodness.
Well, I'm using it now as just like, hyperbole.
Coming around.
You know what I mean. I say me bless. That's how I use it.
Oh, you're a little too much.
Oh, you're a little too little.
I am little.
Yes, you're a little Jaylo.
I am. According to some people, I'm little.
You're pretty tall for a Filipino, though.
I know, but I'm talking about girth.
Oh, yes. And I'm proud of you about that, babes. I don't want to go through jail, but I still love you anyway.
Okay. Yes, I'm tall for one, but I'm talking about girth.
Very good. But I say, if you, as long as you're cool with what I'm doing, let your freak flag fly. And do your thing.
Don't impose it on everybody.
Don't impose it on everybody, but be who you are.
Right.
And hopefully you can find people who accept you and love you, and people who understand you and love you.
Yeah.
So I'm really good at the accepting and loving, but I'm sure a lot of the times I fall short on the understanding, right?
Oh, I think we all do. It's and you want to love this person, but it's hard to do that if you just don't understand. I think it's tough for everybody, even the most gracious person. I think it's tough for them too. I mean, I'd like to say that I try to be as gracious as possible, but sometimes it kind of tests my patience. Yeah,
but you fall short. You learn, hopefully, a little bit here and there, and you try to do better next time. Like, a friend of mine said something really interesting to me once. Mm-hmm. I was going through this thing. This was a few years before we met. And I was thinking about apologizing to a lot of the people who I had done wrong to.
Yeah.
My friend tells me, she's like, well, Rick, that I know that that's coming from a really good place. But what you haven't considered is maybe some people from your past may not want to hear from you. So a better approach may be to be good in the future in honor of those people. For example, if let's say and I'm going to make something up that's not true. But like, let's say I had an issue with authority figures.
Yeah.
The next time somebody tries to take charge, instead of just automatically dismissing them or trying to talk trash about them, maybe I could say to myself, in honor of those people who I was unkind to, who try to be authority figures to me in the past, I'm going to give this the old college try to be as kind and as willing to help as possible in this particular situation.
Yeah, it's funny that you talk about kindness. I know we're kind of going all over the place.
That's
but
what we do, though.
I just thought about something. So I was listening to a program on the radio, and there was a woman who had a newspaper column called Kindness is Contagious. And she was talking about how, and this is not a self-help person by any means, so I'm not going to, say that she wrote like I think she wrote a book, but she was talking about how being kind to people really has changed her from being how she was, because she would say she would complain to her friend about her husband, and then her friend would say, okay, you told me what you had to tell me, now don't ever say that again to me. Don't complain about your husband again. Because the more you complain about your husband, then you're going to feel more resentment to your husband. And she was, trying to teach herself how to be more kind to her husband, how to be more kind to people that maybe she felt like she wasn't sure how to approach them, and that just doing random acts of kindness, she said that it really changed her life. Yeah,
I mostly agree with that, but I also do think that if you're friends with somebody, maybe don't listen, for 4 hours straight.
And she was talking about, and I have to put a little bit of context in this. She was talking about stopping the gossiping.
No, but I hear what you're saying, but I also do think that there should be some room to vent to your friends about what's going on. Like, I would find it weird if I heard that you never vented to your friends about me. That's just not realistic.
Oh, I'm sure I may have.
Oh,
I'm sure I may have talked to somebody about that, but it wasn't like I didn't dwell on it or anything.
No, but you know what I mean. That's what friends are there for. It doesn't mean that you should always do that, and there shouldn't be a give and take in the conversation. But you do need your friends to lean on, and sometimes that means venting to them about somebody else.
Yeah, but then when does venting become gossiping?
I think it's a gray area. But I think just to shut it down completely,
because gossip. I mean, because I could say, well, I'm just venting, but then sometimes venting goes into gossip, and all they want to do is trash this person.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah,
but
I really don't like gossip.
And I believe that lady did some good stuff because of it. But I'm saying in general, I'm a little bit conflicted when you talk about a friend saying to somebody, I never want to hear you complain about your husband this way.
Well, no. I think what she was trying to say is not so much to her, but I think what and I could be completely wrong about this, so don't quote me on it, but I think what she meant to say is you shouldn't put those thoughts in your head. Don't keep it in your head about your husband. Instead, change it around by doing more kind things towards him and saying kind words about him.
Yeah.
So that you don't feel like when you're coming home, oh, he never does anything right. He never does this. I've got the kids all taken care of, and he's expecting me to do more. And, instead of coming home and thinking negatively about a spouse, why not think, well, what kind of a man, what kind of things do you like about him as your husband? And dwell on those things instead of negative thoughts constantly about other people and your husband and other things that are not going on in your life. That's what she was trying to say.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. It wasn't that she never wanted to hear it. It's just,
okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have to be mindful about the words we use, right? Because they do have an effect in the universe. It's as strange as it sounds. I know the KRS-One, who I mentioned earlier, has been talking about that for years. Of what you put out there verbally will often come back to you. Mm. So you want to be very careful about the energy you release.
Right.
Yes.
But there is a time to stand up for yourself, but there's also a time, like when you're standing up, when you're defending someone or yourself verbally.
Yeah.
There is a time for that, but there's also a time to be kind and courteous towards people.
And to be cool. Just try to be cool.
Cool.
Yeah. Just be cool.
By the way, I hope you liked your waddle.
I did like my waddle.
I decided to do something very kind for Rick, and instead of him worrying about water in his bottle, I I took the liberty of washing it and filling it up with water and lemon and lime juice.
I have a water bottle that Jaylo bought me a couple years ago.
Yes.
And because I'm over here so much, I just keep the water bottle here on the fridge.
Actually, that wasn't the one I bought you. I just...
No, you bought me a couple.
I
have the other one that you bought me, but I think you got me this one too.
That used to be mine, actually. I gave it to you.
The one that's here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's right.
That
But you
used
still
to be
got
mine.
it to me, though.
Yeah, I still got it to you. I just figured... the one I got for you, though, that was for our anniversary because I knew you were going to use it every day.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, why don't I just, so I decided to get you, I wanted to get you a bigger one, but it didn't work out. And so I'm glad that you're using the water bottle I got you, though.
Remember, babes, it was like maybe a week before the pandemic hit, and we went to Target.
Yes.
And we got into like a mini argument because you wanted to get this one water bottle, but I was trying to convince you to get the bigger one because I said in the summer, you're really going to be glad you got it. And you ended up getting the bigger water bottle. I know you use it all the time.
Yes, and it cost me a little bit more, but I thought it was really worth it because it was a really good quality. It seems pretty durable for now, and that was right. I think that was like a year ago. It might have been a year or two ago.
It was only a week before things shut down.
Was it?
Yeah, because I remember it was in the afternoon and we were about to go to Bloodworks.
Oh, I thought I got that way before then.
No. It might have been the Monday before things shut down.
You might be, I thought I had it a little bit, well, I guess it doesn't really matter. Cause I got you your water bottle, 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. You might be right about that.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure. I know that it was during a weekday and it was still cold.
Yeah. If I remember right, when we checked out, we were talking to the lady, the cashier, about music, and we told her about Bloodworks Live.
No, we were going to PSU.
No, I think we were going to Bloodworks.
No, we weren't. I remember this. We were going to PSU, and we were going to what they called Noon Tunes. This is before then.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was either 2019 or 2020 that this happened, but I can't remember.
It was 2020.
2020, but I don't think it was before Bloodworks.
I'm pretty sure it was, but either way, I still love you.
Either way, I got it for you anyway.
Well, I mean, I convinced you to get the big water bottle. That's the time I was talking about.
I didn't think it was a mini argument. I think that
it was a disagreement.
I wouldn't even call it a disagreement.
Oh.
I was just indecisive. I was just indecisive.
You're like, should I get this small water bottle that's half the size of my pinky, or this big thing that I don't have to wee water every time I take a sip?
A ship?
A sip.
A sip, okay.
Yes.
That's kind of funny.
I always mess my words up. It's part of my charm, I think.
I seriously thought if you said ship, it would have been funnier.
Oh my goodness.
Take a ship where?
I don't know.
No, but I am glad I got it because it's a pretty good sized bottle. And I like it.
I'm glad you do.
I do.
Yes. Nice and pink.
Nice and pink, yes. I didn't realize it was pink.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of ships, babes.
Yes.
When I was listening to the Sagar and Jetty interview and he was talking about books he liked,
yeah,
he mentioned something called, I think it's Shackleton's Journey.
Huh.
And I've heard about this book before, but I never read it. But basically, there was this expedition to Antarctica in like 1914, I want to say.
Expedition, wow.
Yeah. And something went wrong with the boat, so they had to abandon it. And this guy, Shackleton, was the captain. He had to lead them around Antarctica for like a year before taking some crew members and like going to some island and storming it. I forgot the specifics, but it sounded really, really dangerous.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. I just thought that was interesting.
That is interesting.
Maybe I'll read that this week.
Oh.
Oh. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Jaylo.
Yes.
We got some options for movies tonight. I know you wanted to do a 30s night.
I think it would be awesome.
So
yeah.
I loaded 2 films that I have copies of that are from the 1930s. I have more than that, but I didn't think you'd want to see Freaks.
Oh, you didn't think I would like it?
I don't know. One of us.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds really odd.
But I haven't watched these movies, but I've heard good things about both of them.
Yeah, and so far we watched some really, really good Humphrey Bogart stuff.
Yep. He is going to be in Angels with Dirty Faces.
Yeah.
But then we also have It Happened One Night. Or we could go to the HBO app. But my vote would be tonight. Why don't we just go for the movies that I bought over, unless you want to do?
I don't care either way. We can just go to the ones that you have.
Well, yeah, let's watch Happened One Night and Jaylo's with Dirty Faces.
Jaylo's with Dirty Faces?
Yeah.
You're not going to call this episode that, are you?
No, I'll call tomorrow's one that, because we have to talk about the movie then.
What are you going to call this one?
I'm going to call this, Chow Mein Jaylo?
No, it's got to be something better than that.
I don't know. We'll figure out some of the moves.
Chow mein and chicken? I don't know.
No, let me worry about the names, boobs.
Yeah. I don't know.
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 I don't know. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about, Jaylo?
Yeah, I've got leftovers and we have fortune cookies.
Nice.
That's about it. But I don't think I'll be eating anything more tonight because
you're all out of chocolate, right?
I might have something.
Oh, good. Okay.
A little. I have something, but we'll see.
Okay.
I might have something.
Nice. Is there anything else you want to mention? Did you have any dreams last night?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, babes, unless you want to, we could argue about politics.
No.
We don't have to, though.
We don't have to argue about politics all the time.
Right. Ow!
Oh, I'm sorry.
Babe.
Oh, I'm sorry. Where is it?
No, right here, babes.
Oh.
Knocked over my iPad.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, my goodness. You could try to be more mindful.
No,
okay?
no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was reaching over. I'm so sorry. Are you okay?
I'll be alright, babes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay, it's your boss.
How's this?
That feels good.
I'm sorry.
Oh, my head. Hey, who are you, okay?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
You're sorry? Well, I'm Wick. It's nice to meet you. No, I'm joking, babes. I mean, it did hurt, but it's not the end of the world.
It didn't hurt too badly, did it?
It hurt enough to where I could definitely feel it, but it's not the end of the world.
Okay, that's all we.
Babes, that's okay, babes.
Oh.
I forgive you.
Thank you.
Yes, babe, was. I don't want to end it on maybe that note.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's not the end of the world. So let me ask you this.
Yes.
Have you been watching anything good on TV recently? Or Netflix?
I haven't been on Netflix in quite some time, actually. I have taken quite a long break from Netflix. But maybe it's because I was listening to a lot of podcasts on that thing.
Do you still think it's worth paying for?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it is a great service.
I mean, I would say so. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
It's okay, babes. It's not the end of the world.
I feel bad. I don't want.
It's not the end of the world, okay?
No.
Yeah.
I feel bad.
Oh, it's okay, babe boys. It's okay. It just took 10 years off of my life.
Oh, don't say that. I'm really bad.
I'm joking, babes. Yes.
Okay, it wasn't hard enough to give you a concussion.
No.
Good.
No. Well, babes.
Yes.
You feeling good about this?
I am. After this, I'm going to get a quick drink of water, and then we can start on it.
That sounds good, Jay Wool.
Yes.
All right, so I can't remember if I've ever kissed somebody because I have a head injury now.
Oh, yes, you do.
Because I do have a head injury. That's what
No, yes, you do remember because you just did that a few minutes ago or earlier.
Oh, well, I don't remember that. I'll tell you what, since you feel bad,
yeah.
Do you want to get a glass of water while I talk about the greatness of AOC for a couple minutes?
No.
Okay.
Greatness, mate.
Oh my goodness. All right, maybe we should just end it then, but I love you, Jay Wool.
I love you too.
Yes. Maybe I'll call this Injured Rick.
No, I didn't mean to do that. Don't do that. No. And it didn't happen until towards the end of it.
I know, but that'll keep people listening. Why is it called Injured Rick?
No. I'm sorry.
Or I'll call it Broken Rick. You're always saying I don't use my name enough in the episodes.
I know, but...
I'll call it Broken Rick.
You're not broken.
Or Jaylo of Pain.
No.
Okay.
Rubbing in my face.
No, it's okay. Give me a kiss. We'll come up with another.
Okay.
All right, babes.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Stay cool.
See you next time.
See you next time, okay?
Okay. Let me get